Alright, what's up everybody, it's Kami and welcome back to another JoJo Fridays. Now, last week I did the pseudo main characters video and a lot of you guys seem to enjoy it. A lot of you guys, like the idea of doing character explain videos because in the past, pretty much since I started uploading on my channel and stuff, I've been doing explain videos where I just go in and explain the stand ability or something that happens. It's kind of just, whatever the video topic is, whatever is requested, whatever I feel like doing, right? It's just an explanation video, hence why I just titled them JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, explained, and then it would be like a discussion or something, or it would just be the, explanation video. So that's pretty, straightforward and simple to understand. So I thought, why not talk about characters more instead of just their stand abilities, and you guys, like this idea, and you guys agreed with it. So here's the first one on Pierre Polnareff. Now, I talked about him in the pseudo main character video, so I might kind of just, repeat some of the things I said there, but that's just because it's, it has to do with the character, and it's just character accomplishments and things like that. So without further ado, let's start the video. Alright, so when I talked about pseudo main characters and stuff, I brought up Bruno Bucciolati because Bruno does get a lot of screen time. It's pretty much the same thing with Polnareff, except, Polnareff happens before Bruno. So Polnareff was kind of just that first pseudo main character that we kind of saw in the series. So Polnareff gets a shit ton of screen time, right? He does a lot of different things, which, by the way, I mentioned this before, but the whole point of these videos is to kind of just go through things that the characters have done, accomplishments, changes in their character throughout the story, whatever parts they might appear in, and stuff like that. So if you guys, aren't interested in that, then click off the video because I'm going to be recapping stuff. So, I just thought I'd throw that out there. But anyways, so when Polnareff is first introduced, alright, he's pretty much shown with this similar introduction, I guess, to Kakyoin, where he's under the influence of Dio via a flesh bud that was planted in his head. So he approaches our JoJo's gang in Hong Kong, and he attacks the main group. He ends up fighting Avdol. Avdol beats him. Avdol, acknowledges that he has a strong spirit and stuff like that, and he's like, yeah, you're not a bad guy. So Jotaro removes his flesh bud from him, and Polnareff was like, you know what? I'll join you guys. You guys are pretty cool, and I want to find the murderer that killed his sister, because his sister was killed, and Polnareff wants to figure out who did it, and he wants to go do what he has to do and kill the guy. So that's pretty much our first introduction to Polnareff. He's just like Kakyoin, where he's introduced as a villain, and then he joins the team after their battle because he was technically being mind controlled by Dio. So hey, Polnareff, not a bad guy. Pretty nice guy, even though despite his introduction, it's kind of just one of those things where it's like, hey, we gotta beat your ass because you're trying to kill us. And then he's like, you know what, you guys aren't so bad, so I'll join you. So that's pretty much that. And pretty much from this point on is where he kind of just starts to get along with the main characters, and he has this connection to Avdol, and he has this connection to Jotaro because they all respect each other. Jotaro and Polnareff respect each other just regarding their stand abilities. Jotaro acknowledges Polnareff as having a very strong stand ability, and it's one of those things where, Jotaro is just very open about his emotions, which you don't see often, so that's pretty cool that Polnareff has this connection to him. And then after that, I guess his first fight, and I think it's the first stand fight we see after they get Polnareff, is with Devo, the Cursed, which is the guy with the Ebony Devil, little possessed doll demon thing. And, Polnareff is kind of just pushed into a corner, and he's like under the bed and shit, and he's fighting the stand when he can't see, which I thought was really cool. And he still ends up winning. He pulls through, and it's just one of those things where, for it being his first, I guess, fight against an antagonist, it was a pretty good way of showcasing his ability with Silver Chariot and showing that he can use it instead of just, only attacking one thing. He can use it, to kind of just feel around where he's attacking, and he's very observant with his stand ability despite being in such a dangerous situation. So it was pretty cool. After that, the next time we see Polnareff in battle is when he finally sees Jay Guile, who's the guy that ended up murdering his sister, who is the guy, his stand is the Hanged Man. And it's pretty much just this guy that lives off of reflection. So it's not like he lives inside of a mirror like Man in the Mirror does, because some people kind of get these things mixed up. Man in the Mirror in part 5 works through mirrors, while the Hanged Man works through reflections, hence why he's able to come out of, like a reflection in a pool of water or something, and he's able to come bring his stand out and boom, stab somebody. So Polnareff finally encounters Jay Guile and shit, and he beats him, but the battle ends up in a really bad situation, and after they get rid of Jay Guile, or rather Polnareff gets rid of Jay Guile, Whole Horse, who was Jay Guile's partner at the time, ends up shooting Avdol in the head, and they thought that he was dead and stuff, and Polnareff kind of just blames himself for the death of Avdol, and he feels very sad about it, that he couldn't do anything, and he feels, extremely responsible about it. And I talked about this in the pseudo main character video, but this was one of those things where from this moment on, I knew that this character was going to just change a lot, and he was going to grow up, because he was always goofy. Polnareff will always be goofy. Polnareff will always be a womanizer. That's just his character, but from this moment on, he feels so responsible for his friend's death. He, acknowledges and accepts with himself that he has to get stronger. He can't be weak if he wants to, win. And if he wanted to avenge his sister's death, which he just did, he would have to continue pushing forward regardless of whatever happens. And he can't let one thing hold him back. So he thinks Polnareff thinks that Avdol's dead. Stuff that happens after that, Polnareff licks a dirty toilet like twice, I think. Or at least get him to try and lick a dirty toilet. I don't know why I almost said toilet. I don't know why they make Polnareff have so much shitty toilet humor. No pun intended there. I just thought about what I said, but that happens. Polnareff and Kakyoin fight the lovers inside Joseph's head, and they shrink their stands to fight, which is something that they never reuse in JoJo, even though Polnareff's like, oh yeah, that should have been something that every stand user should just naturally be able to do. So I don't know what was up with that, Araki. That's weird. Then after that, the next time we see Polnareff fight is in the fight against Cameo's stand Judgment. And Polnareff is tricked into wishing his sister Sherry back to life, and he also wishes for Avdol, but they end up being these kind of clay golem-like clones that go after Polnareff, and they attack him and stuff, and they start damaging him really bad until Avdol shows up, and he's like, hey, yeah, I lived, bitch, and he kicks the clones' asses and stuff, and they beat the stand user, and, Polnareff is all freaking out about it, because he's like, well, why the hell were you, why the hell didn't you say something sooner? Why didn't you come back sooner if you weren't dead or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And he's all super emotional and shit. And then him and Avdol just pee on the guy, because they're Avdol's like, hey, you know what guys do? We pee on the people that we beat up, so they pee on the dude, which is really weird, but hey, it's goofy. Then the next thing you see from Polnareff, I want to say, is after the High Priestess fight, which I thought was a funny little detail, because when Jotaro is fighting the High Priestess and he's inside of its mouth, he punches through the teeth, which are, meant to be teeth of diamond, is what they're compared to. They're very strong, so Jotaro can punch through diamonds, which is a pretty impressive thing to do. But after this, Polnareff goes to look for Midler, because he notices her body, and, Polnareff being a womanizer that he is, he's like, hey, I gotta go see the pretty girl. He goes to her, and he's like, oh, shit, no, I regret that, because he notices that her teeth were knocked out. So I thought that was kind of funny that Jotaro broke the stand's diamond teeth, and Polnareff is the one that sees Midler, and he's like, yeah, she would have been pretty if her mouth wasn't all gashed open and her teeth weren't all over the place, so that's kind of funny. Then after that, we have the fight with Chaka and Khan, who were the two guys that had the Anubis stand, and then Anubis falls into Polnareff's possession, and then he's possessed by Anubis, which makes him fall into Dio's influence again, and he ends up fighting Jotaro, and then, once again, he's saved by Jotaro, which is another situation where I really respect these two characters and their relationship with each other. They get along, they're homeboys. Jotaro's there to save the day for Polnareff. He helps Polnareff. It's a great fight. It's a great scene. It's really cool, and it's actually, I want to say, one of my favorite parts out of Part 3. I thought it was a really well done, just little arc with Anubis and stuff. I thought it was really cool to see Polnareff's character take this, I guess, different dynamic, a different change, and go back to being evil again for a little bit, despite, it not being him and he's just being possessed. And he also just looks really damn cool with two swords, so that's pretty cool. And then we have the Alessi fight, which I talked about in the pseudo main characters video, and this is just one of those moments for Polnareff where I'm like, holy shit, and it's another moment for Jotaro being there for Polnareff, because, after he has his lady issues, Jotaro is, comforting, and he's there to help him out, and he's like, we gotta move on, because as much as Polnareff wanted to stay with the girl, he wasn't gonna be able to, realistically speaking, so, he was taking care of this girl. I think her name is Melania or some shit. There's some name for her. I have no idea. It's probably on the wiki or something. You can find it. I didn't write it down, but she takes him in when he is reverted to a child by Alessi. She takes care of him and stuff, and Polnareff just grows attached to her, and he felt some type of way when they were bathing. Given he's 8 years old, he knew some shit was going on, and if he would have been grown, then that would have been a completely different situation. But regardless, Polnareff ended up getting attached to her. He got genuine feelings towards the lady for being so kind, and just helping him out when she didn't even have to do anything, and it was just something that I guess nobody had done for him up to this point. I'm not sure. I don't know if Polnareff had this type of connection with anybody else up to this point, but she took care of him, and then she was put into danger, and Polnareff and Jotaro beat Alessi, and I actually love that scene when Jotaro gets reverted to a child, and he beats the shit out of Alessi, and it's just really cool, you know, like he doesn't even have a stand attack, he's just rapid punching Alessi himself, so that was pretty cool. And it's really cool to see the dynamic between Jotaro and Polnareff, just the two characters, you know, together, and seeing them fight together. They fight really well together, so that's a really cool fight. But, you know, Polnareff knows that if he stays with her, she'll be in danger because stand users are attracted to other stand users. He understands that he has to help Jotaro, you know, defeat Dio and stuff so they can finally end their journey. And he understands that, you know, there's just priorities, and he couldn't go stay with this lady at the moment. So he has to leave. He has to take it like a man, and he's got to deal with it. And it's just one of my favorite scenes in part 3. It's just one of those really great scenes. You should definitely, you know, go back and look at it. And then the next thing after this is the Vanilla Ice fight. So Avdol dies for real this time, and it's one of those situations where Polnareff is like, oh shit, because Avdol was like, you know, whatever happens inside this mansion, you know, don't look back, don't just keep moving forward or whatever, don't get stuck up if something happens to somebody, just keep going on and don't leave, you know, like don't worry about leaving anybody behind. So they understand this before they go into the mansion, and then what does Avdol do? He's like, oh shit, and he pushes Polnareff and Iggy out of the way, and then he gets himself killed for trying to help everybody else while they were, you know, advancing. So Avdol's dead, right? And it's just a pair of arms that's there, and then, you know, Cream comes out, and it's like really like horrifying and I guess gruesome when you think about it. He's just holding Avdol's arms up and shit, and we don't know where the hell that goes. It's just somewhere, but he's dead. So Polnareff is like, oh shit, Avdol just died. Iggy's like, oh shit, Avdol just died, and they have to fight Vanilla Ice, and the fight gets very intense. Things go crazy. Everything gets like, you know, super intense. Polnareff gets injured really badly. Iggy gets injured super badly. He gets rapid kicked by Vanilla Ice, which fuck Vanilla Ice, man. Vanilla Ice is a bitch, but you know, they have this fight, and Iggy's injured. And then what Iggy does is he uses the last bit of his stand ability and his stand energy to kind of help Polnareff get out of the way from Vanilla Ice's attack, so that Polnareff can, you know, potentially beat Vanilla Ice. And then Iggy dies, and it's one of the saddest deaths, just because, you know, he's this little dog that Polnareff at first didn't really get along with, and he always called him like a shitty mutt and stuff. And then, you know, Polnareff ended up getting attached to Iggy, and he kind of just grew on him because he's like, you know, maybe this dog isn't so bad. He's just kind of, you know, stubborn and hard-headed, and I guess Polnareff liked that about him. So seeing Polnareff get upset over Iggy dying and seeing him cry and stuff is like just really sad. It's one of those things where it's just like, ouch, you know, that hits home. It's like losing a pet, you know. He just lost a pet pretty much, and it was somebody that, you know, he ended up liking after time passed by, and it was somebody that he didn't get along with at first. So that was great to see. Polnareff ends up beating Vanilla Ice when he tells him, you know, he's like, go to hell and shit, and he burns him with the sun's light. It was just like one of the best scenes in part 3 again. Polnareff having so much screen time, having so many of the best scenes, it's just so hard to not like this character. He's great. You know, there's like Polnareff land and shit like that. There's Polnareff getting his face shaved in the Anubis fight. That was pretty funny. Polnareff looking in the toilet. You know, Polnareff with the ladies. Polnareff is just great. It's really funny. But these fights, just, you know, coming back to back were just so great. Like the Alessi fight and the Vanilla Ice fight. And then, you know, there's like the Anubis fight and stuff. You know, these are like the next 3 Polnareff fights that we see where he's, you know, directly the one that's battling, or he's, you know, super involved in it. And it's really great. And then Polnareff almost gets killed in the Dio's World little arc where he's fighting Dio with Jotaro and stuff. And he could have technically almost killed Dio, actually. And Dio says that if he would have, you know, moved a little bit to like the right or some shit, he would have directly skewered Dio's brain, and it would have probably messed him up, and he would have been dead as shit. So Polnareff tried. He didn't necessarily do it, but he tried, and Jotaro ends up saving Polnareff here because Dio thought that Jotaro was dead. But Jotaro's like, nah, bitch, I lived. And he saves Polnareff's life because of this, because Polnareff would have probably gotten killed. And then after that, Polnareff became a turtle in part 5. And yeah, there you go. So overall, Polnareff is just one of those characters that you get attached to very quickly because of all the screen time that he's given so early on. And he has all his motives. And once he achieves his motive and his goal, you know, he kind of just continues to go with the flow and help everybody else out because he cares about these friends that he just made on his journey to go ahead and avenge his sister. And he still feels guilty about Avdol dying and stuff, so he has to make up for himself somehow. And it's one of those things where it really makes me just appreciate him overall as a character. I love his design also, by the way. You know, like the flat top and stuff is pretty cool. Silver Cherry is a really cool stand. And overall, Polnareff is just one of those characters I could say I genuinely enjoy. And if I were to put him in like a top 5, you know, favorites character list for like, you know, anything whether it's JoJo related or I'm just talking about like a manga or anime, I'm pretty sure I'd have Polnareff up there because he's just so great. And you know, again, it might just be one of those things where they gave him so much screen time and they focused on him so much that it's just hard not to like him. But even if they didn't give him all the screen time, I still think I would have liked him because he was just a pretty cool guy. And that's that. Polnareff is pretty much just this super kind guy that just goes through this journey of growing up and acceptance with himself. And he knows he's not perfect, and he knows he needs his friends by his side, and he knows that with his friends, they have the power to, you know, do anything. And whether you guys like that or not, and you guys are just like, it's just a stupid friendship power-up XD. In case you don't know, friendship is actually like a super important thing, and life, just relationships in general, just, you know, getting along with people, having close people to you, whether they're family or friends and stuff like that. You know, these are just important things that you kind of just need, I guess. And when you don't have these things, you know, and you're just all lonely and you're a loner, things can get pretty boring, or you get like all sad and shit, and then, you know, you wonder why. Well, maybe, you know, just go out and make a friend, alright? It's not hard to make a friend. Go ahead and talk to somebody that likes the same things as you, and, you know, get along. It's not hard to do. So, what I want to say with this is, I don't know, time flies by, things happen, things change, people change, but you have friends by your side, you can grow up, you can have some self-acceptance, you can understand that you're not perfect, and then you'll be a better person in life, and that's great. And I think that's just a little lesson we take from manga, and maybe I'm thinking about this a little too seriously, but hey man, you know, reading stuff teaches you things, so that's just what I was taught in school. If you guys enjoyed the video, go ahead and leave a like. Let me know what other characters you want me to talk about in this fashion, just going over them and saying what I think about them at the end and stuff like that. And, you know, just let me know down below in the comments. I really do appreciate it. Happy JoJo Fridays, everyone. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace. 支えてくれる人たちに日頃の思いを込めたラプソディアプリシエーションな気持ちを届けいつもありがとう本当はありがとうたとえどこに立って君の存在に感謝してるよ